Good evening, everybody. Super impressive win for American, Californian, no less. Taylor Fritz winning Indian Wells, as he stated, a childhood dream that you think is never going to come true. That's what Taylor had to say about his victory. A dream that you have that you don't actually believe. Imagine that. And he has done it. And he has clearly the biggest win of his career and beating Rafa Nadal, who up until today has been unstoppable, 20 matches in a row, winning his 21st Grand Slam at the Australian Open, beating Alcaraz yesterday, who lots of people kind of viewed as the final because it was such a big matchup. Lots of people not really giving Taylor Fritz a big chance to win today. But Taylor Fritz proved everybody wrong and made a childhood dream come true in the desert. Big day for him and American tennis. Is this going to now spur more victories for Taylor and catapult him up into the top 10 and maybe inspire some other American tennis players to start stepping up their game and posting some bigger results? So couldn't be happier for Taylor. Big congratulations. Amazing final. If you didn't watch it, Taylor really earned this match. I think if you've been following Rafa for the last couple of days, you saw that his chest was starting to hurt him, maybe going into some kind of spasm. But Taylor had his own issues going into the final. He had a really bad ankle and actually was out on the practice court and yelled out, screamed in pain. Didn't know if he'd be able to go today. Said he had a ton of work done to it and was able to go out there and play the best match of his life. And so, I think it was kind of a fair and square victory, in my opinion. I don't think we can really use the Rafa injury as an excuse. Rafa did what Rafa does at the end of the match. He played incredible tennis, and he did one of those things that Rafa does. If you're gonna beat me, you're gonna have to beat me. You're gonna have to come up with the big shots on the big points. And Taylor Fritz faced a lot of tough moments that maybe at other times in his career he would have folded and it would have gone to 3, and then we'd probably be talking about Rafa winning in Indian Wells. Instead, Taylor was able to really stand up in the tough moments, hit huge shots, and win this tournament. So really, really awesome. We've got a couple comments here as you guys come on in. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Do you think the physical match with Alcaraz had an effect on Nadal today? Absolutely, the physical match had an effect on Nadal today, but the physical match with Rublev had an effect on Fritz today. You're going into the final, and no one's ever 100% healthy probably on the tour anyway. Like, I think almost on any day, you never feel perfect as a tennis player. But certainly when you're going into the final and Rafa winning those 20 matches in a row, a lot of tennis in a short amount of time when he hadn't really been on the tour for over a year. So, of course, that affected Rafa today. But Taylor also was going in with his ankle hurt. And so I don't think that you can basically give the excuse that, oh, well, Rafa wasn't 100%, so it wasn't really a big win for Taylor. Taylor, if you watch the match, had to earn the victory. Rafa played very well down the stretch. Basically, he lost that first set 6-3. The second set, he figured out a way to stay toe-to-toe with Taylor. Taylor playing very, very good tennis throughout the entire match. And Rafa was right there with him. And at a couple of moments in that second set, it looked like Rafa was about to break down Taylor emotionally, physically, and push that to a third. And Taylor played some big points, guys. He played some big points. So pretty good. So here we go. We're throwing in the Rafa excuse machine here. Rafa was clearly 50%. Again, if you didn't watch Taylor in his interview, he didn't know if he was even going to play today. So, hey, Pete, this is Bhaskar, by the way. Hello, Bhaskar. Great to see you. Disappointing, but Taylor deserves it. Yes, come on, guys. I mean, I'm happy too. And I got to say, as an American, I'm happy to see Taylor get through. I would have been happy for Rafa too. I'm a big Rafa fan. If you guys don't know, I love the big three. I love to see them dominate the sport, but this was a really cool kind of Cinderella story. A guy who grew up in California who said his dream was to win Indian Wells, but he didn't actually believe he could do it. And then he comes out today and does it. And to do it, guys, he had to play great tennis. He had to play great tennis to win. It wasn't like Rafa went out there and didn't compete and was so injured that he couldn't put up a good fight. Rafa put up a great fight there. If you're watching the match, Rafa put up a great fight, hit a lot of great shots, and Taylor was able to withstand a lot of pressure from Rafa and actually execute down the stretch and hit big shots himself. So please give Taylor Fritz some credit here. Rafa's forehand was far from his best. So it's all about Rafa basically stinking out there, according to your comments, which I totally disagree with. I thought Rafa played a very good second set and easily could have turned that match around. I don't think people are really giving enough credit to Taylor being able to withstand a lot of pressure from Rafa and come up with some great shots. His forehand was absolutely gigantic today. His backhand is money. On some big points, he showed some touch, hit a great drop shot, hit some good volleys. He played really well. Big serves when he needed to. Let's see here. Taylor did well in the Australian Open 2022. Yes, absolutely. That's the thing. Taylor has been putting up some pretty good results and just not being able to break through. And as he said, I'm really glad I watched a lot of the interviews afterwards. As he said, through his career, he has been in these moments before, and he feels like those top tier people are just unbeatable in the big moments. So this was the first time ever he was able to be in a big moment and actually persevere and win. So, and he did win. It's not like Rafa pulled out of the tournament with an injury. Rafa fought his heart out till the very last point, which is what Rafa Nadal is all about. And so Rafa was there across the net to the very last point, competing very, very hard, and Taylor was able to turn him down and win this tournament. Please give Taylor Fritz some respect for winning this tournament today. Let's see. Could this be a turning point for U.S. tennis? That's very interesting. I've seen some interviews with some of the females on tour. A lot of the women U.S. players have done really well in past years here, and they always talk about, well, when they see one of their peers be able to come with a breakthrough, that gives them the belief that they can actually do it too. So I do think that this is a big win for Taylor for sure. It shows Taylor he can go across the net from a Rafa, and maybe now he thinks he can do it against the Novak, Federer being 40. It gives him that kind of confidence that he can stand up in these big moments. He knows how hard he's been working. He's been putting a lot of good results, and now he had the ultimate result for him today. So I'm hoping he can take this momentum and start to win on a more consistent basis and be there in the semis and be there in the finals and maybe make a run at a major. He certainly can do it on a hard court. I don't think he's going to be able to do it going in the clay court season. I don't think he's going to be able to do it at Wimbledon. I don't see it, but I do see him playing very good on the hard courts. He did it in Australia. Now he's done it here in Indian Wells. Maybe the U.S. Open. If he's healthy, he can go in there and do some big damage and who knows, pull off a miracle. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Okay, congratulations to USA Tennis for Taylor Fritz victory. Yes, this is the first time an American has won Indian Wells since Andre Agassi. Think about that. That is a long time coming. And as the CEO of Paribas says, and it wasn't called the Paribas Indian Wells back then. So you are the first one to win the Paribas Indian Wells. So, this has been a long time coming for American tennis. I hope it gives people like, Brooksby maybe gives him more of incentive to keep training and gives him more belief. Isner, his day's probably gone. Creasy. I know there's one other one I'm not thinking of. Who else is a big American? The biggest American, Riley Opelka. Maybe it'll give him some confidence. But I think clearly out of all our American players, Taylor Fritz has the best all-around game. He's got a big serve. His forehand is massive. His backhand is money. for a big guy, he moves pretty good. He's not an amazing mover, but for a big guy, he moves around the court pretty well. And now he's showing the fight. So that's pretty cool. Results still read Fritz defeat Nadal in record books. Won't be an asterisk. Yeah, and shouldn't be. Exactly. It shouldn't be. Congrats to Taylor Fritz. Well deserved. I totally agree. Well deserved. I like that comment there, Adina. Very nice. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Keep posting your comments. I'll put them up. Rafa's level at this tournament was not like it was in the semifinal. Yeah, that's very true. And this started basically from the very first match. You know, this was not an easy Indian Wells for Rafa. But again, it's kind of showing that the tour is getting better. The players are getting better. They're hitting bigger. They're moving faster. And they're starting now to compete against the big three. And they're not shying away. They're not backing down. And Rafa, this again shows when his game is not at a level, he's going to find answer B and C and D, E and F, all the way to Z to figure out a way to stay in matches and compete. He went 3 sets in the very first match against Korda. He said he should have lost. He said actually Korda played better than he did and that he was lucky to win. So, I mean, Rafa could have been out first round. And this is coming from Rafa. This is Rafa saying, I should have been out in my first match. Nick Kyrgios played a great match against Rafa. Easily could have won that match. That match could have gone either way. The match against Alcaraz was really just mesmerizing stuff because of everything that I think that it probably meant to both players. You know that's the biggest match of Alcaraz's life. He's going semifinals, Indian Wells, going against his idol after getting smoked the first time he played him on his 18th birthday and saying, okay, let's see how much I've improved against my idol. Think about that, playing your idol. And he was able to bring it to 3 sets. And that's where Rafa started to really show that he was getting some pain in the chest. And Rafa was able to figure out a way to win that. Again, today, Taylor Fritz comes out hot. Rafa comes out a little flat, which if you watch my live stream this morning, I said if there was ever a chance for Taylor Fritz to beat Rafael Nadal, it's today for all the reasons that you guys are stating, that Rafa's had a tough road to the finals. He's not playing his best tennis. He's got to be tired after winning 20 matches in a row. I'm sure it was emotionally and physically draining to beat Alcaraz, who, if you're the idol, you don't want to lose to the young buck. You want to show that you still are the king of the hill there. So I'm sure that was a huge match emotionally for Rafa to win. And then you got to back it up the next day, no break at age 35, and go out there against Taylor Fritz. But again, don't take anything away from Taylor Fritz, because Taylor Fritz had to do that all too. If you think beating Andre Rublev in 3 sets is easy, it's not. Getting to the finals in California, your dream to win there, your home country and your home state, and to go out there and perform against Rafa, that's really tough to do, especially when you have a bum ankle. So both players had to face adversity today, and Taylor Fritz was the better competitor today, which that's a pretty big statement. Being a better competitor than Rafa today is something that he will never forget, obviously. Yes, Fritz needs to be more consistent week in and week out, not just in tournament here and there. He has been more consistent, though, guys. Taylor Fritz has been more consistent. And if he doesn't have a great clay court season, I don't think you can bash on him too bad. That is my one kind of, I guess, thing that I don't love about Indian Wells and Miami. They're both slated as huge tournaments. Some people even want to call Indian Wells a 5th major. I'm sure if you said to Taylor Fritz it's a 5th major, we're adding one, he wouldn't argue with it. He'd think that's great. But when you look at where Indian Wells leads into, where Miami leads into, it's not really an indicator of how you're going to do the rest of the year, because they go right into the clay court season, completely opposite surface. And lots of times the people who do well at Indian, unless it's a Rafa or Novak or Federer, they're going to do well the whole year. But I don't think it's a good indicator necessarily how you're going to perform the rest of the year, because then you go to clay and grass, like 2 completely different surfaces than the hard court. So we'll see how Taylor does after this. I wouldn't be surprised to see him have a rough clay court season. I don't think he's the best clay court player. I don't know, how are you going to do on grass? It's kind of a crapshoot, but hopefully, he can really build this and be healthy for the hard court season in the United States, going to the U.S. Open. That's what I really hope Taylor Fritz can really even step up his game even more. Seb Quarter almost beat Rafa. Let's see what else. Great win for Fritz against Rafa. Should give him more confidence in Miami. That's true. And we know that Rafa not going to Miami, I think that is the wise choice. He needs to now rest up, get the treatment on whatever's going on up here, and also obviously get the foot back 100% so he can make another run on the clay to possibly win his 14th French Open. So crazy stuff. But I think you told Rafa that this was going to be the start of his year. As he said, this is kind of like a dream year for him as well also. USA, also Korda. Yes, I left out Korda. How could I do that? Peter Korda, the father, who won an Australian Open, a great player in his own right. Maybe Sebastian Korda can step up and do some great things. He's got a lot of talent. Does he have? Maybe he has more talent than Taylor Fritz. His upside might even be bigger than Taylor Fritz's upside. And Taylor Fritz still young enough to build that confidence and be top 10 material for sure. A lot of people kind of always overlooking the Americans because why the Americans really don't deserve the credit so far to be in the conversation of contending for Grand Slam titles and things like that. But now Taylor has put himself in the position to be top 10 player. And when you look at the shots he has when he is on, there's not a bigger forehand on the tour. There's people who can match him forehand wise, but when he smacks a forehand, it's about as far as you can hit a forehand. It's pretty impressive. Easy power off the forehand side. His backhand is beautiful. I think his backhand is like right up there with like a Zverev, which that's a big compliment. His movement's okay. His movement might be on par with another big guy like Zverev. His serve, pretty solid. So, he's got a lot of weapons. Not the best at the net. He was only 3 for 10 at some point in the, so that's again an opportunity. A big guy like that should not be 3 for 10 coming to the net at one point in the match. So that's another big opportunity he has to improve. What, Taylor Fritz won? Yes, he did, Joshua. He did. Thanks for joining us. Taylor Fritz, if you're just tuning in, if you did not watch the match, Taylor Fritz has just beat Rafael Nadal to win Indian Wells. So pretty awesome. Nadal should never have played in Acapulco. That was always his problem. He plays too many tournaments. He is one injury away from ending his career. So interesting comment from Wicked Tommy. I think Rafa, after taking so much time off, the way he says, he's like, my foot is always going to be injured. It's never going to be 100%. If we figure out a way to make it good enough to play on to where I can play and compete my absolute hardest, I'm going to play. And when I get injured, I'm just going to take time off until it's time to kind of call it quits. So I don't think Rafa has any regrets. Think about that. He won Acapulco. So why would he regret playing Acapulco? He got to the finals of Indian Wells. Rafa will take these results all day long to the bank. And now he gets to go home and rest up for the clay court season. Feeling pretty good physically. I think Rafa played this perfectly. I don't think Rafa has any regrets about the way everything went so far this year, even losing today. Nadal is pressed. I feel pain every day when I feel pain even when I try and breathe. It's like a needle inside. The thing worries me now is what I have to do to recover and how long it's going to take. Yes, I've had that same thing too, by the way. So I wonder if it's his sternum, but I think that Rafa, of course, that's scary when it's hard to breathe. And I've had this, and these things can last a while. He might have to forego the first couple of clay court tournaments to get fully healed, but he will fully heal from this. This is a matter of time. If it's what I think it is. I don't think it's a long-term injury, but it can last for a good 3 or 4 weeks. But he's got that time if he needs to. It's a long clay court season. He can miss a couple of clay court tournaments, and I don't think that would necessarily be a bad thing. So He just doesn't have to play all the clay court tournaments. I think if Rafa just plays 1 or 2 clay court tournaments going into the French Open, that's really all he needs. But certainly not ideal to this. Good reporting there, Ollie Payton. This is kind of a scary statement if you love Rafa, which I think almost everybody in the world loves Rafa. I mean, how can you not love Rafa? Okay, let's see what else you guys are saying. I wonder what about the tablet was that Rafa took and the changeover and what the treatment's going to be. Yeah, that's the key. What will be the treatment? How long will this last? What are your thoughts on Zverev, Tsitsipas' recent struggles? Do you think that they can bounce back in Miami? So yeah, Zverev and Tsitsipas probably a little concerned about their start of the year, and they've been knocking on the door to win majors, but still not able to do so. And then when you start to see Alcaraz come up, it's kind of scary. You're kind of like, okay, well, did we miss our window? Think about how many generations in between, Rafa, Novak, Federer, how many generations of talented people that when they get to finals against these players, Rafa and Novak and Roger, they always say, oh, well, you will have your day, you will win one. And they never do. Now, all of a sudden, Zverev getting to his mid-20s. And so I think it is scary when you start to see some of the talent coming up. What if all of a sudden Alcaraz this gets super hot and starts to really believe and starts to go on a tear and starts to win some of these majors and Novak comes back on the tour. It could take another 2 or 3 years before they win one, and maybe they won't win one. You never know. Rafa can make you look bad at the net. Well, that's absolutely true. I mean, Rafa's passing shots are incredible. I just still do think overall in general, when I look at Taylor Fritz's game, serve is very good, a weapon. Forehand is incredible, massive. The backhand, really, really good. Movement, okay for a big guy. Net game could be better. And so so that's a great news for him. There's an opportunity to improve his net game. And I think that would be good, especially a guy his size could get a lot of easy points if you're coming in on the right shots. You come in on the right shots, come in the net, and you start to really understand how to put the ball away and how to cover passing shots. Net's a big opportunity for him to take his game to an even better level. Fritz needs more practice with Cressy to improve his volley net play. Maybe, I mean, or maybe just a little bit of coaching from a net expert. Maybe you can enlist Johnny Mack for a little while just to specialize on net play. I don't know. With Nadal, every point is a war. His intensity is what works for him. He was 1 shot away from winning the tiebreak. That's absolutely true. Donald, great to see you here. This man right here is fantastic. He actually sends me chocolates in the mail, if you can believe that. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, Nadal, people want to talk about his injury, and that goes again to show how tough he is. Because, of course, I'm not saying that he's making up the injury by any means. If you saw him on the last changeover before they went into the tiebreaker, he was getting worked on, and you could just see the pain on his face. So the pain was real. And Rafa is a warrior, and he was still able to go out there and compete at a very high level and make Taylor Fritz earn it to the last point. But make no mistake about it, there's something going on there with Rafa. Hopefully it's one of those things to where you get some really good physio going, you take some time off, and a week to 10 days, he starts to feel like himself again. That's what I really, really hope for him. So certainly hoping this doesn't turn into a long-term thing. We know that Rafa has had his share of injuries in his career. It hasn't been easy for Rafa. He's had a lot of physical things happen, but somehow he seems to always come back. Hopefully Rafa will be healthy for the clay court season. Absolutely. I obviously know my tennis. I just love that handle. Okay. Besides Rafa, the rest of the top guys have all looked shaky this year. Medvedev looked great at the Australian Open, but he's looked shaky since. Absolutely true. And I would think emotionally for Medvedev, things have got to be really hard. And you just can't tune out that your country is at war and there's a lot of pressure around the world for you to speak out on it. People want to know what you think about it. And if you've seen him in interviews, he says he wants peace, and he's trying his absolute best to be super nice in interviews. and I really feel for him. I think Wimbledon has said that to be able to play Wimbledon this year, he's got to denounce the war, which of course it sounds great, morally, you go, of course he should denounce the war. What's going on in Ukraine, there is an atrocity and a tragedy, and you just can't put enough words on it. But this is his home country, Russia. And, if he speaks out against Russia, I mean, to ask somebody to speak out against your country in wartime, otherwise you can't play the tournament, I think is ridiculous. And, especially the way they treat you in Russia. If you speak out against your country, I think is a completely overreaching and unfair thing to ask about somebody who just wants to play tennis. I don't think that that's right. I'm just putting it out there, but I don't want to get into all that. I want to talk about Taylor Fritz, the American, winning at Indian Wells. Childhood dream. Taylor Fritz has said today, really cool. Hey, I dreamed of winning this tournament when I was a kid, and it was such a big dream, I didn't actually think I could do it. And he did it against Rafa and Nadal. That is insane. Insane. It seems Medvedev has been mentally affected, but yes, absolutely he's mentally affected, for sure. I agree. 100% agree. All Ferrer, Burdich, Tsonga, Soderling, Davydenko. Think about all these great players that I obviously know my tennis is mentioning here. Dimitrov, Ronich would have won slams without the big three and Murray. 100% agree with you. Yes, so there's been so many generations of amazing talent who worked really hard on their craft, who are just awesome. They were not able to pull through. So I'd be a little nervous if I were especially Zverev, because Tsitsipas a little younger. Fritz was hitting very deep shots, making Nadal uncomfortable. Yes, Fritz's forehand today, guys. How about that forehand? I've always known that his backhand was money. I always loved to watch his backhand. I thought that that was really good for a matchup today. That gives Rafa trouble. Rafa loves to hit that buggy whip, big forehand lefty, bounce it up to the backhand. Not as effective against people who are like 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", and have great two-handers. So Fritz looked pretty comfortable on that big forehand coming from Rafa, and awesome backhand. But that forehand he hit was incredible, massive, just crushed it to the corner, to Rafa's backhand corner many times. I think we'll see Medvedev at his best during the summer hard court. Yeah, he always does very well on the hard court. Obviously, he loves to play the U.S. Open. He's U.S. Open champion, and he does very well at the Australian Open. He tends to go away, although last year he had a decent clay court season. The grass hasn't really been able to go too far yet on that. So we might not see Medvedev, the best of Medvedev, for some months. So if you're a Medvedev fan, I guess there's no need to hit the panic button, because we tend to always see this from Medvedev. He tends to have a tough time, and he also has not done great at Indian Wells yet either. So nothing's really changed with Medvedev. He tends to do very well at the beginning of the year and the end of the year. Middle of the year, not so much, because of the clay and the grass. I just don't think he's comfortable on that. Wicked Tommy says, credit to Taylor Fritz. He always been pretty underrated. He's almost beat Djokovic in Melbourne last year. Yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to the guy. And like Wicked Tommy is saying here, it's not like this came from out of nowhere, okay? It might seem to a lot of people that, who's this Taylor Fritz guy? Where did he come from? How did he do this? How all of a sudden is he an Indian Wells? The guy's been on tour for quite a while. I think when he first came out, especially as an American watching him, I think, oh, this guy's really good. This guy's got a lot of talent. This guy's got game. Then I think with injury, and then also maybe not living up to the initial results, I personally think, and I think a lot of people thought, like, oh, well, maybe he's just not tough enough. Maybe he's too soft. Maybe, between injuries and just not being that next level, mentally tough, folding in big moments and big matches, that's really all it's about. Everybody's great on the tour. Can you shine when the lights are the brightest and the biggest with the most pressure? Not many people can do that. And it looked like Taylor Fritz was one of those people who just couldn't today. And he said so himself. He's like, I've always felt, this is another thing that he said today. He gave a lot of great comments in a very short amount of time after he won Indian Wells. And he said, I've always felt in the big moments that the players at the next level are just unbeatable. I mean, that's a pretty big admission to say. And of course, when you're going against Rafa, I mean, as he said, also as he was accepting the championship trophy, he said that he's been idolizing Rafa since he's a kid. So to be able to step up and do it, huge, huge for him. Rafa exceeded expectations even going to the finals. Absolutely. Korda had beat him in the first round, but choked from being up a double break. Yes. And Rafa was the first to admit that he should have lost to Korda, that Korda played a better match, and that he kind of got lucky to get through that. But we know it's not really luck. What does Rafa do? Even when Rafa doesn't have his best stuff, even when he's injured like he is today, he's going to make you beat him. He's going to make you come up with some tough answers. Fritz was able to do that today. So all credit to Taylor Fritz. Congratulations to Taylor Fritz. Let's see right here. I obviously know my tennis says the Russian players at the moment feel like they're being put under a microscope constantly, which is going to be difficult for them emotionally and mentally. Yes, 100%. You know, and it's just one of those things. It is what it is. It's impossible for them. And it's also impossible for a media person, since this is like the biggest thing going on in the world right now, the most scary thing going on in the world. It's impossible for the media not to ask what they think about it. I mean, I think it would be nice if the players could just go play tennis and weren't asked to weigh in on it, because they didn't choose to go to war. The tennis players didn't choose to go to war. They want to travel the world and do what they love to do. And they certainly don't want to be asked on this. They don't want to speak against their country because it is their country. And they also don't want to get in trouble with their country, you know? And so I'm sure they'd much prefer to just go play tennis, but I think that's going to be pretty much impossible to do, especially looking where this is all headed. Who is the favorite in Monte Carlo, Djokovic or Rafa Nadal? Well, I think also when it comes to that, that's a tough thing to pick right now, because we don't know how Rafa is going to respond physically to what's happened to him. It seems since yesterday, all of a sudden he felt like something happened in his chest. Now it's hard for him to breathe. That's a scary feeling. And I've had the same injury, I think. I'm not sure if it's the same, but I had it where I was hitting one day, and all of a sudden I hit a shot, and all of a sudden, boom. And I had trouble breathing. Laughing was a lot of pain. It ended up being like my sternum, and it was scary. It was very scary feeling. So if Rafa is going through this, it could take a while to heal, and so might not be the best move to even play Monte Carlo. So I don't know if he's healthy, then Rafa's the clear favorite to win Monte Carlo, and Djokovic is, I think, a question mark, because he's super hungry to get back on the court, but you need those reps, you need those matches to build up your confidence. You just don't know how he's going to come back emotionally after everything he went through in Australia. You know, that's not an easy thing to get over, what he went through. So don't know. Fritz has an underrated serve too, which people sometimes overlook. I agree. You obviously do know your tennis, because I agree. Fritz's serve is really good. First and second serve. The first serve, he can get free points, set up the big forehand, and even the backhand. You know, if you had a weak return to the backhand, he can also clock those for a winner, which not every pro on tour can clock backhands for winners. Every pro can pretty much clock forehands for winners. A lot of them have amazing backhands, but I think Fritz can also clock the backhand for a winner. So when you follow up that big serve with those two options, that's pretty nice for Fritz, and he gets some aces. And the second serve looks like it's traveling pretty big and deep in the box to me. So I think that he does have a very great serve. Bassmaster 1953 says, I'm thrilled Fritz won. That said, what percent of vintage Nadal showed up today? Well, I think the most important percent of vintage Nadal showed up today, and that's his heart. Okay, that's really the greatest skill of Rafa. I mean, we could even analyze the finals of the Australian Open. You can question, well, what percent of vintage Rafa was there at the finals? I mean, he was struggling down 2 sets and didn't seem to have an answer for 2.5 sets. Patrick McEnroe, which he probably never has said in a match before with Rafa on the court, he said it's all but over now. So it's not like Rafa just played, he ended up playing amazing, but it didn't start off so good. So, but the most important thing of Rafa was there, the heart. The heart was there, and the heart was standing on the other side of Taylor Fritz, asking Taylor Fritz questions, going, how bad do you really want to beat me today? I'm not going away. I'm playing big points well. I'm with you toe to toe. Can you take this from me? Most people cannot. Taylor Fritz did. So I think that to really keep harping on Rafa's injury and yes, what was it, Rafa at his best? I don't think that's fair. I think the most important part of Rafa that could have won the match today was there. The heart was there, competing till the end. And Fritz wasn't given the match, guys. He was not given this match today. He hit some really tough shots, clutch shots on some gigantic points. I can't overstate that enough. So I think you got to give Fritz most of the credit for the win today instead of keep looking at the Nadal injury. I think a lot of people are being harsh on Medvedev when it comes to grass. He's only narrowly lost to Hurkacz. Okay, that's true. Hurkacz had a great Wimbledon too. And we all know what Hurkacz did at that Wimbledon. Yes. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good. Let's see, what else do we have here? You guys are coming up with some golden comments tonight. Wasn't Rafa serving at a lesser speed today? What was it? Well, he's got a lot of pain in his chest. Yeah. But again, it might have been a little slower, but I think it was pretty on par with how his serve looked most of Indian Wells. I don't think Rafa really served well at Indian Wells at all. He still had some free points off his serve, which Rafa doesn't really depend on free points off his serve. He had an amazing out wide slice ace on a huge point. So I don't think Rafa particularly served where it wasn't effective. It certainly was not his best serving day, but I think if you ask Rafa how he served the entire tournament in Indian Wells, even before the injury came, I think Rafa would tell you, I didn't really serve that great this week. Didn't serve that great in Indian Wells. He got to the final. He didn't really play his best tennis the whole tournament from the first round to the last round. Okay, what about that Rafa drop? Fritz dug it. Yes, Bassmaster 1953. That was one of the best shots. And so if you didn't watch the match, Rafa hit an incredible drop shot, which I think Alcaraz has basically modeled his drop shot off after Rafa's drop shot, maybe even made his drop shot even better than Rafa's. But it was a great drop shot. Fritz, a big guy, sprinting full speed from the baseline, stumbling into the shot, losing his balance, and delicately hit it deep up the line to where Rafa just couldn't get to the ball. And if he didn't place it exactly where he placed it, Rafa would have lit him up with a passing shots because Fritz was he was so close to the net that he wouldn't have been able to recover to cover a cross-court pass. So Fritz had to make an extra special play there, and that was a gigantic point. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. What were your thoughts on the Sakharas? I hate to say it, I didn't watch the match. Swiatek looks to be one of the few besides Barty, when she plays, reliable on the women's tour, who constantly, she's an awesome player. Love Sakkari. I think she's great for the game. I did not watch the match. I do apologize. I didn't watch the match. So I obviously don't know my tennis when it comes to the women's final, which I do apologize. I do apologize to everybody out there. I did not watch that match. All right, guys, I think we've said it all. We're going to Miami. What are your thoughts on Miami? I think really, this is going to be a thing that maybe you guys don't want to hear. I think Miami's become a lot less of an important tournament as the years go by, because it seems the older the big three get. It used to be that Rafa, Roger, and Novak all were healthy and playing Indian Wells and Miami. And even if they won Indian Wells or went deep at Indian Wells, they were still young enough and hungry enough to go play Miami. And lately, it seems like people who do well at Indian Wells, they're banged up. They don't go play Miami. it seems like Miami's becoming less and less of an important tournament to me. I know that Miami certainly doesn't want it to be viewed as that. That used to be, uh, such a big couple of weeks, Indian Wells to Miami. But I think Indian Wells is they totally get the best of the American tennis. They totally get the best of the tour. All the men, all the women are going to go play Indian Wells. They're going to put it all out on the line, and they view that as more important. And then if they are not feeling great, they just skip Miami and they prepare for the clay court season. I don't know. Can you move Miami somewhere else? Can you move it somewhere else in the calendar? Should it move? I don't know. Or should you just keep it like it is? But you're clearly always getting a watered down draw in Miami. So maybe if some young guys like Alcaraz start to dominate and they start to like win Indian Wells and things like that, they're still young and hungry enough to they want to go do the back-to-back. It's not a big deal for Rafa to go do the back-to-back anymore, or Federer, or anybody. So Miami, I think, is just not as exciting. I don't get near as excited about Miami as I do against Indian Wells, and it'll be interesting to see the storylines in Miami, who ends up winning, who's there in the quarters to the finals on both the men's and the women's side. Let's go. How did Rafa get so much support in a U.S. crowd? Well, because Rafa's a legend. Rafa has deserved, especially the older you get and the more of a legend you get, you just get the fans all over the world. And Americans tend to, whether it's a good or bad thing, we're not as allegiant, especially when we haven't really had an American dominate. We're not as allegiant as maybe some other countries are, because I think if it was the opposite, I think if Rafa was a young kid, or if Rafa was like Fritz going to play, an American, if he's playing in Spain and he's not Rafael Nadal, let's say he's Alcaraz. I mean, Alcaraz is going to get the fan support in Spain. If he's playing an American who, let's say Alcaraz is going to play Jimmy Connors or Andre Agassi in the finals in Spain. He's going to get all the support. They're not going to be rooting as hard for Andre, but in America, it's a little different. So, I think up until this final, not a lot of people who are Americans super excited about Taylor Fritz. He's just not on the TV on Saturday and Sunday most of the time. So it's hard for American crowd to manufacture just all out 100% support for Fritz when they don't know much about him. A lot of people, even though he's been on the tour for years, he's been a solid player for years. But Fritz also had great crowd support today too. I thought it was pretty good energy on the court, and both players got a good amount of support, and I thought it was great energy. So that's my thought on that. I think we're going to see another random winner in Miami. I think you're probably right there. You guys keep coming with some amazing comments. Fritz has weapons to win a slam. He's put on some muscle, won't play enough. Yeah. Fritz, when you look at his game, I mean, no one's ever really thought about him, including myself, as a Grand Slam winner. But when you really look at his game, why not? I mean, if Zverev can get so close to winning a major, is Zverev really that much better than Fritz? I don't know. When Fritz is hot, like he was today, if Fritz can keep playing this kind of tennis like he did today, obviously Zverev has a lot more results than Fritz. He's been a lot more consistent. But when you look at their game, is Zverev that much better? What's better? The serve, you could give that to Fritz, because why I'm picking Zverev, I think they're very similar, just stature-wise, physically. And if you look at Zverev's serve compared to Fritz's serve, I would give the advantage to Fritz. If you look at the forehand, sometimes both their forehands can be shaky. Who's got a bigger forehand? After watching Fritz's forehand today, I say Fritz has a bigger forehand. You look at their backhand, I might give a slight edge to Zverev, but not much of an edge. And if you look at their movement, it's similar. And if you look at their net game, I don't know. Zverev's net game used to be horrific. It's better now, but I think they both can improve there. And to Zverev's credit, he has been improving his net game. I think Fritz still has some room there. I don't see Medvedev's winning the event. Yeah, I think you might be right there. I think you might be right. Also, I know it's for TV money, but come on, why 3 matches in 3 days? That's true. It's a lot of tennis. A lot of tennis. Maybe too much tennis going down the stretch. I agree. Maybe they should change that around a little bit. Have that semi on Friday, and then you go into Sunday. That is true. To turn around and do it with how physical the game is today. Yeah. All right, let's see here. Nadal was injured. He said he had chest pain. Absolutely. He's got a lot of chest pain. He's struggling with that. I'd love to see Alcaraz in Miami. It's possible without Rafa being there that that's true. I think the thing that would actually save the Miami draw, 2 things would save the Miami draw right now as things stand. One, if Fritz can do a back-to-back, that would be amazing for American tennis. And maybe Fritz starts to become a legitimate somebody that Americans start to get inspired by. Because if you look at him, great player, great personality, he could maybe start to become somewhat of a star in the United States. That would be kind of cool. I just don't think we've had enough results from an American tennis player to where we really get excited. We never really got excited about Sam Querrey. Is there moderately excited about? I mean, we haven't really been excited about an American player in a long time. Fritz can back up another big win and win Miami. Now all of a sudden, maybe there's some buzz going on in the United States about Taylor Fritz, and he inspires some kids and things like that. Or if Alcaraz can step up in Miami, that would be huge. Now he will become a bigger star worldwide than Fritz, because he's just so new. I mean, he could win Miami, and so I think that's a good call. I wouldn't be surprised to see Alcaraz actually win there. That'd be amazing. Nadal is old as hell. He's always hurt. Way too many miles on that body. That's true, but he just won 20 matches in a row. So what's your point? Tiafoe is exciting talent. Would be good for the game if he could find a way to stay healthy and more consistent. Yeah, that's true. Melting Pot Hispanic community. By the way, I ate at the Melting Pot last night, which was fantastic. Okay, that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Everybody have a great week ahead. I appreciate all the comments tonight. Very fun live stream. Like this live stream up. Share it with your friends if you would for me. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet. Get ready. Let me show you this. Get ready for my 7-day forehand challenge. Okay, you go to 7dayforehandchallenge.com, sign on up. What we do is we do a different lesson each and every day. Like we got the ATP forehand blueprint. I've got also what we do on day 2. I teach you how to hit the ultimate rally ball like Rafa and Nadal, though I don't have near good forehand as Rafa and Nadal, but I teach you how to hit a great heavy forehand. On day 3, I teach you how to smack and crush your approach shots like Taylor Fritz did today. I teach you on day 4 your forehand return to serve. I teach you the footwork patterns to use on your forehand. Serve +1 plays you can run off your forehand. So make sure you sign on up, 7dayservechallenge.com. It's 100% free. You get free 48-hour access. And then if you want to upgrade to lifetime, you can for basically pennies on the dollar. So make sure you sign on up. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And we'll see you guys on the next video.